I am joined in the studio by Richie Gallo. Hello, Richie.
Good morning.
And Kerry Fenster.
Hi.
And these two gentlemen have quite a background in music, and that background led them to come together to create some very interesting music for our special community. So, Richie, you've got a huge background in the music business. Tell us a little bit just about that.
About 40 years. I started as a sales guy, worked my way up through a couple of companies, A&M Records, which is based here in Los Angeles, although I was working on the East Coast. And then when they got bought out, Universal had acquired them. I was fortunate enough to still have a job, so I worked for Universal for 7 years. I ran a small label called New Door Records for about 18 months. It was a label devoted to artists that were older, that didn't have had catalogs at Universal, but really weren't in the forefront of music. You know, they were sort of more heritage artists.
Right.
We won 2 Grammys, though, in 18 months for a Peter Frampton album called Fingerprints and Temptations, who I think everybody might know. And then they closed the label down, and then I went to go work at Rhino for another 6 years. So when you add it all up, it's a couple of years and a few presidents.
So you're a pro in the music business. And Kerry, tell us how your musical story began.
I mean, if you want to go all the way to the origins, it would start with being like at home with my mom, who's a professional singer.
Oh, okay.
And I used to just like sit next to her at the piano and just tinker and just play around. I just always had a penchant for music. I always knew that I loved it. I always knew I wanted to play it. I started taking instruments in school, band instruments though, nothing cool, but like, you know, trombone and things like cello, which actually I think cello is pretty cool. But and then around 10, 11, I started taking like privately electric bass and electric guitar lessons, and then I was just done. I just knew that that's the instrument I wanted to stay with because they lend itself so much to you know, songwriting. And I just played music forever, and then I formed a band with my sister and my best friend back in New York, where I'm from. We were called Nep-Tep, and we moved to LA in 2002, and we did like the rock band around LA thing for a while. It was fun. It was really fun, and then I started working, I started teaching guitar lessons. Then some of my students were in the special needs community. And I found myself just drawn to that and just enjoying it. And then I got hired at the Help Group in Los Angeles.
The Help Group, which everybody's familiar with, the big autism school here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, very renowned school. People like move here like when they get into that school. It's like the Harvard of like special needs institutions. And yeah, I was working there for a few years, and I just found myself in the classroom, you know, teaching social skills, because that's, you know, kind of hand in hand with autism. And there were just certain, you know, phrases and things that were said in the classroom all the time that became like mantras, just certain like lessons, and that became sort of the idea for the songs that ended up on the record.
Okay, so tell us about the record, when Songs About Us, how that was born and what happened there.
Sure. Well, yeah, like I said, you know, I've been a musician for like my whole life, and I always loved writing songs. And it's fun to get inspiration from different places. You know, you can like typically it's like, you know, breakups or like you know, love songs are huge, or songs about, you know, political songs. There's like certain, I think, like archetypal like categories that are like where inspiration comes from for songwriting, although it really can come from anywhere. And often it's just the people in your life and the things you're doing. And yeah, like I was saying, I was in this classroom with this great group of kids, a really good teacher, and like every day we were talking about certain themes that were just so recurring and so useful, and not just in the special needs community. Like we all employ social skills and need to be, you know, mindful of that. So we'd always be talking about things like, you know, having quiet hands if you're nervous, you don't want to like, you know, get hurt, or having personal space when you talk to people. These were said constantly. Like you can't overstate how often these things come up in that environment. Having good hygiene, you know, brushing your teeth, stuff like that. So it just hit me like a bolt of lightning. I was like, these are such great song concepts, and that was both creatively for myself. I just was like, oh my God, I need to like get this out. Like I felt it in me. I needed to get it out creatively, but also I thought there might be a function to it as well, to bring these as a tool, like a learning tool. So I just went home and I started writing these songs, and I started playing them in the class to sort of see, okay, is it just in my head that these are fun, or like can I actually bring them to like the population I work with? And they were completely useful in the classroom. Like the kids were like loving the songs, and the teacher would even be like, oh, we're going to start talking about like health and like hygiene. Can you do
Right.
your hygiene song?
Right.
And I was like, okay, there's something to this. That's not just like selfish as a songwriter, but it's like useful from a teaching standpoint. And yeah, and then I went down to Long Beach to the studio. A friend of mine had a studio, and I made like a demo, just like a 3-song demo, real brief, and then it got into this guy's hands.
Richie, you
And-
found what appealed to you about the songs?
Well, as a musician and as somebody in the business, my brother-in-law, who's an entertainment attorney, hooked me up. I went to go see Kerry. He did one of these performances for this classroom, and it was 30 kids, and it was amazing. It was just amazing to watch how much music meant to them as well. And it was sort of a lightning bolt for me too. It was kind of like, wow, I've missed this maybe my whole life in the music business, about it, how music can affect everybody in some fashion. And, he played some of the songs he was referring to, Hygiene, Personal Space. He did some covers, and he did Twist and Shout and Keep on Dancing. And I just remember being, he introduced myself afterwards, and I remember just riding home and thinking to myself, I should do a little research and just find out, like, is this something that might be worthwhile, something that would be really interesting, sort of something I could maybe do to give back, for all my years in music, where, I could get back into business in some way and help carry along with the idea. So
And
that's
so
how.
Songs About Us was born.
That was it.
Essentially, yeah. It was us when we got together. It sort of was like the beginning of Muzic School Records, which is like the label that we put together to make it, and the album and everything kind of came together.
Okay.
Never to poke, never to scratch, never to hit, never to snatch, never to poke, never to scratch, never to hit, never to snatch. You might hit people or get hurt if your hands and body go berserk. So take a deep breath, count to 5. It feels great to be alive. Please use quiet hands. Please use quiet hands. Please use quiet hands. Please use quiet hands.
So that was great. We got to see the kids interacting with you on that. And you brought your guitar, so we're going to ask you to do one. What's this song called?
This is Personal Space.
All right, so if you could just do just a little bit of personal space, and we're going to tell people how they can get a hold of this.
Sure.
Fantastic. All right, the song's called Personal Space,
Okay.
and it goes a little something like this. Personal space, so much ever-loving personal space. Personal space, I sure love some personal space. Arm's length turnaround, that's how I'll be safe. If people are getting too close and you feel boxed in, take a little step away from them and now we'll start again. Personal space, so much ever-loving personal space. Personal space, I would love some personal space. Arm's length turnaround, that's how I'll be safe. I said arm's length turnaround, don't worry, I'll be safe.
Very good.
Thank
So
you.
what better way for kids to learn these lessons than to hear songs that they can move to and dance to, and
Yep.
as you say, it's a constant repetition anyway to learn these things.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
music lends itself to that.
That's right.
So tell us how people can get a hold of Songs About Us.
Well, the best way is to go to the website.
Yep.
It's www.musicschool.com. On the website, there's videos, there's stories about Cary, stories about how we got together, and a little bit more in depth. And there's an order your CD, and it's through Amazon.com, iTunes, Spotify, almost every place you can get. And we've actually made a digital deluxe edition, which has
Okay.
those songs and then all the 5 songs that Kerry wrote instrumental. So
Okay,
you can
great.
do a little karaoke too while you're at it.
Great. So Songs About Us, we encourage you to go and check it out. Great way for your kids to learn some lessons without having to beat them over the head with it, but to have them sing along
That's
and learn something in a really delightful fashion.
Yes.
Okay, well, so nice having you here today,
Thank you
Richie
so
and
much.
Cary.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's our
Okay,
pleasure.
and
you
good
very
luck
much.
with the project.
Thank you.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.